Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Calumet Perspectives. I'm your host, Stephen Haas. With us today is Indiana State Sergeant Brian Millard, a 19-year veteran of the Indiana State Police. And Sergeant Millard, if I may call you Brian, welcome to the program.
Thank you.
And glad to have you on. And 19 years, wow, I'll bet you've got a few stories to tell, don't you?
I have a few. Yes, sir.
Any of them that are, what would a day in the life be like for you?
On the road, right now I work in the Indiana Data and Communication System. So I oversee or do audits of agencies to make sure that they're adhering to the rules and policies of IDAX and NCIC, which basically is the computer system that all police agencies use to run people's information and things of that nature. But when I was on the road, it was a totally different thing. My regular patrol area was up here in northern Lake County, and I can give you 1,000 incidents of things happening. I was also at the state fair when the stage collapsed.
Oh, a few years ago.
Yeah, a few years ago.
Event.
So that was probably one of the most traumatic things I had to do.
That was heartbreaking.
Yes, it was. Yes, it was.
Yeah, loss of life, always sad, but especially in a situation like that, you know, when you're all there to have a good time and
yes, sir.
Something like that happens, that's just awful. But yeah, you say 1,000 stories probably in one weekend if it's 80-94.
Well, it all depends. We have a lot of crashes up there, but believe it or not, as far as injuries and things of that nature, for it to be as busy as it is, it's really not as bad as you would think.
Now, you mentioned something about the computer system. Is that something that's relatively new, the interactivity with other police agencies?
No, sir. That's been around for a very long time because that's what, when a police officer stops you, he runs you through a system. And that system in Indiana is called the Indiana Data and Communication System, or we call it IDAX. That is also ran through NCIC, which is the federal version of IDAX.
I see.
And so when they run your criminal history, when they run your when they run anything on you, they run it through that system along with the BMV to find out your information if you want it, anything like that. And that is a sensitive system that we have to make sure that all officers are using it for criminal justice reasons.
Oh.
And I have to do audits, investigations, and things of that nature to make sure that police officers are adhering to the rules.
And somebody isn't using it for like personal use to try to find someone or something
exactly.
like that.
And people think that police officers can run anything they want. Actually not. They have to do it for criminal justice reasons, and if not, then I pay them a visit.
Right. That's not a good thing to be doing, that's for sure.
Yes, sir.
What should someone do if they see those lights flashing?
The best thing to do when you see the lights flashing is to pull over to the right. Okay. As safely as possible. Now, sometimes you can't pull over to the right because of traffic, and you'll have to pull over to the left. But most times you want to get away from traffic as far as you can. Even if you pull over to the right, you want to pull as far over to the right as safely possible. That way, when the officer walks up there, he's not standing in traffic trying to talk to you. That's the thing to remember anytime you get pulled over. Stay in your vehicle. Don't make any sudden crazy movements or anything like that. And I mean, we're just out there to enforce the laws. So we're going to go out there, and I can speak on all troopers because I am a trooper. We're going to be professional. We're going to do our jobs. We're going to ask you a couple of questions or anything like that. Get your information. If it dictates you getting a citation, then you'll get a citation. And just make it, for our objective is not to go out there and try to hammer every person like some people may think.
Or fundraise or something like that.
It has nothing to do with that. We're just out there to enforce the laws of the state of Indiana.
Someone for me, like instance, my power windows quit working, and I was worried about that. I was like, what would happen if, you know, what should I do if my windows don't work and they're coming up to me? I just say my windows don't work.
Yeah, just say my windows don't work. You know, some people like to hold their hands up there. That's not necessary.
Oh, okay.
You just don't want to. You just don't want to hide.
Subconsciously, almost.
Yeah. You don't want to. You know, hide your hands or anything of that nature. But just tell the officer, you know, my windows don't work, and then he'll have you open your door when he gets your information or things like that. So that's no problem at all.
Okay.
That happens all the time, really.
Yeah, I guess, you know, not as unusual as I thought. If it happened to me, it could happen to anybody.
Exactly.
What made you want to get into law enforcement?
I grew up in Northwest Indiana. I grew up in Gary, and seeing some of the crimes and some of the things that happen, you know, it's the cliche that I always wanted to make a difference, and that is, I want to make a difference. I figured out a long time ago that, you know, I see these juveniles and things coming up, getting all these negative images. I want to try to be a positive image. And I know it's kind of a cliche, but basically that was it. You know, I want to do the good thing growing up, because everybody has a negative image of Northwest Lake, Northwest Lake County, the region, whatever they want to call it. A lot of people have a negative image of that, and it's not all negative, as people who grew up here know that.
That's very true, and as a resident of Miller, I'll attest to that too.
Yes, sir.
Pretty nice area, actually, but
Yes,
I enjoyed myself in Northwest Indiana quite a bit. Came back home, actually.
Yeah, I had to just tell some people about the beauty of the dunes beach or the lake shore.
Right.
You know, people who have never been up here don't even know that. They don't know how beautiful the dunes and the natural lake and sand and everything. Some people that have never been up here don't even realize that. They don't know that.
Right. They think it's all steel mill.
Exactly.
And a large part of it is, but there is that beautiful section in Marquette Park.
Exactly.
I think there was a billboard up a few years ago, something to the effect of there are more variety of orchids in Northwest Indiana in the dunes than there are in Hawaii. Which it's astounding, but I have seen orchids out there, wild orchids, and it really is something else. And I've seen cactus out there too. You know,
and I would believe that. I would believe that, yes.
Yeah. Well, that's really great. And what kind of training does a person go through if they want to choose a career as a law enforcement officer?
Our academy now is approximately probably 6 months. When you go once you get accepted to the academy, there's a 6 month phase that you have to go through just to get to the academy. You can pass all the tests and still not make it, because not only do you have to pass all the tests, but you have to be in a higher percentage to get accepted to go. Once you go to the academy, it's basically like going to boot camp and going to college at the same time. You have to learn all the laws and everything, and you have to learn how to be a trooper. You have to learn, and they'll run this in your head, excellence through discipline. You have to, we get training in defensive tactics, firearm shooting, cultural diversity, handling people, dealing with people. You get all the training in the world, and you are there from Monday through Friday for basically 6 months. So basically they mold you into what they want you to be.
Well, it's nice to know that in spite of the fact that you are the law, you do take that respect aspect seriously.
Yes, sir.
And I'm a big believer of that. If you show just a little bit of respect to someone, you should get it back 10 times over.
Yeah, you should show respect to everyone, no matter if it's that person I'm taking to jail or if it's that person I'm just pulling over to help change their tire.
Right.
I'm going to show you respect as much as I can. Now, sometimes people will not show you respect. Okay, that doesn't mean I'm going to come out of my character. I'm going to take him to jail. I'm going to do whatever I have to do, but I'm not going to do it in a way that I try to demean him in any way.
Right, and that's very important. You don't want to get someone back in a corner. That's not a good way to go about it, for sure. Yeah. And it does take some psychology, doesn't it?
Yes, sir. We do have what they call police psychology. It was actually, when I went to the academy, it was taught by our former superintendent, Dr. Paul Weitzel. And it takes a lot because you got to think a lot of times people will try to push you over the edge. And as when I was training people, I always told them, don't go out of character because they're out of character. Be professional to everyone, even that person that's being unprofessional to you.
So they kind of want to force you to lose your cool, so to speak.
Yes. You have people that once you stop them, when you're walking up to the car, they're yelling and cursing at you from the time you walk up to the car until you get done with the traffic stop. But that don't mean that you need to reciprocate and do the same thing.
The whole time, huh?
Exactly.
You'd think after the ticket, a little realization would sink in, but yeah, I guess some people, they make them all different, don't they?
Sir.
Yeah,
yes,
yeah.
Sir.
I'm sure you have a lot of sad stories, but what's some of the funnier or happier things that have happened?
The happier things. I can give an example of actually something that actually happened yesterday.
Great.
I was out working the road and I pulled over a truck driver. He had been having a bad day. Somebody hit his truck and he's going through a lot of things, which I don't know.
Right.
So I go up there and I did an inspection on his vehicle and I wrote him a warning. And this was a pretty big guy. He went into tears.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
He went into
really
tears.
Expecting that.
No, I wasn't. I mean, he went into tears and thanked me so much for not writing him a ticket because he said he's losing his home. He's having all these things happen. But you don't know any of these situations. When you pull him over to the side of the road, you don't know that.
No, you don't.
You don't know that. And it goes from that to when we're working certain details or anything where I'll see guys that are older guys and they'll tell me, I always wanted to be a state trooper. I always wanted to be a state trooper, but and it's so good to see you in that uniform.
Good. That is a good feeling.
Yeah, I've literally had people, basically, I'll pull over to the side, pull up behind me and just come out and say, hey, I'm glad you do what you do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's good. That's got to be a good feeling,
Yes,
too.
sir, it is.
And you're coming up on 20 years, right?
Yes, sir.
How have things changed since you started out?
Well, everything changed. The radio system changed. Now we have laptops in all of our cars. When I started, we had to write tickets because one of my things that I would train officers to do when I was training them is to write. So when you're writing, you're looking forward on the steering wheel. That way you can see your surrounding. You don't want to be writing down like this because you can't see anything that's going on. Now everything is a computer click away. So when you just scan the barcode, everything, and driver's license, everything, and you put it in the computer and you print them out a ticket and you go hand it to them. So the days of actually physically writing it, unless something wrong with that computer, they're gone. And even with the advent of our cars, I mean, everything is just totally different. The cars are, faster, they last longer. We're keeping our cars, keeping them in shape. But yeah, basically the system and even the way we retain everything. A lot of agencies nowadays, the days of keeping this much paperwork on an individual is gone.
Right.
When you can just download it to a thumb drive or to an external hard drive of some sort and have it there forever.
Right. That is amazing. And actually, I guess the bright spot would be the offending motorist gets the ticket a little faster so they can be on their way.
Yeah, I guess that would be.
I guess that's my perspective only. I don't know.
That's okay. What
would you recommend for someone interested in pursuing law enforcement, and would you recommend someone to pursue that as a career?
I would. I became a state policeman not for monetary means. I wanted to be a trooper. I didn't, and everybody thinks of it differently, and I'm not holding us to any higher standard, but I wanted to be an Indiana State Trooper.
Wow.
I didn't want to be a local department. I wanted to be an Indiana State Trooper. I liked their image. I liked the moral standards that they had. So that's something I want to be. And if we're always taking applications, even if it's a time where we're not having an academy, you can always put an application online, and then they'll hold that until the next academy comes up.
Oh wow, good.
And if you're thinking about that, no matter what what I would say, if you're thinking about that, you probably should start running right then, because it is physically demanding. You have to be able to do the physical part of it, as I said before. You have to, you're going to have to write reports. You're going to have to do things like that are going to be taken to court. They're going to be scrutinized. So you got to be able to write, things of that nature. So.
Yeah, attention to detail, as they say.
Exactly.
Yes. So important in so many different things.
Yes, sir.
Well, we've got to pay attention to the clock right now. Unfortunately, we're all out of time. Sergeant Brian Millard, a 19-year veteran of the Indiana State Police, thanks so much for coming on the program.
Thank you, sir.
And we'll be back with more show right after this. Welcome back, everyone. We're speaking with Jenny Bacino, volunteer coordinator from the Humane Society of the Calumet area in Munster. And Jenny, welcome to the program.
Thank you for having us today. Thank you.
And you brought a wonderful little special treat for us off stage right now, but going to join us in a little bit.
Yes.
Her name is Sugar Bowl?
Sugar Bowl.
Yeah, so good. Pomeranian.
Yes.
So that's going to be our first time ever to have a live animal on this show.
Fantastic. Fantastic. Well,
and a cute little one that is for Pomeranian. And just a pleasant personality. We've been all playing with her offset. It's been a lot of fun.
Good.
Well, tell us a little bit, first of all, about the Humane Society of Calumet and what you do there.
Well, the Humane Society first was chartered in 1941 in our area, basically for the humane treatment of horses. So we've come a long way, and we're now on 45th in Munster, and we house cats, dogs, rabbits, and guinea pigs.
No horses, though.
No
huh?
horses.
No, okay.
Nope. So we've come a long way from that. We house about 366 animals currently that we feed and house daily. And we provide services to the community in which we take in the strays and we work with the dogs, spay, neuter, microchip, vaccinate, and then put them up for adoption back out into the community.
Right, ready to go.
Ready to go.
That's good, that's good. And how is that funded? Is it all nonprofit or?
We are a nonprofit organization, so we rely mainly on grants and donations. We're a no-kill shelter, which means we do not euthanize to make room for other animals.
Right.
Or based on a particular breed or based on temperament.
Right.
So if the animal comes in and has any issues, food guarding issues, barrier aggression, our behaviorists work with them until they are ready and adoptable. We want to set the animal up to succeed, not fail and come back to the shelter.
Right, right, and that's good. And have a good impact, a big experience for all involved.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
yes. It's a very strong team. We have about 20 staff members, but 600 volunteers on record. And they are truly the backbone of our organization. Our volunteers come in daily and they change every cage, every food bowl, every dog is walked, every cat is socialized every single day. So we really have a lot of success stories that come out of this organization.
That's fantastic, a volunteer crew of 600.
Yes, and some volunteers may do special events once a year. I would say there are about 200 that are active weekly.
Wow. So they're regularly scheduled to come in.
Regularly scheduled,
to
yes.
pet the kitties and stuff.
Right, and we do 350 pounds of laundry a day.
Wow.
Right, so thanks to our volunteers, that is really where the work gets done.
That's a lot of
It
towels.
is a lot of towels, I know. I know, I wish I had that washer at home, trust me.
You do one load a year.
You can, I think for one load is about a month's worth of laundry.
Wow. I don't think that would be
I
a little big for the laundry room at your place, I'm sure.
You're right.
So what is the day in the life like there? Do people, how do the animals get there, first of all?
Well, we receive animals from various animal control units from Gary, Hammond, Whiting, Dyer, and Highland. We receive animals from owner surrenders, families that might not be able to take care of their pet anymore for one reason or the other. Although because of our new state-of-the-art vet clinic, we're able to spay and neuter for income-eligible families and vaccinate for income-eligible families. And we also have a food pantry for income-eligible families. So we do want to keep that pet in their home, and we don't believe that you need to have a large income in order to keep your pet. So it's very important that we do everything we can to keep the pet with the owner. And we also receive pets from puppy mills, which are puppy farms where dogs are just kept in cages to breed over and over and over again. And that's how we got Sugar Bowl, was on a puppy mill raid. And
you were telling me the circumstance in which she lived, and just seems so inhumane.
It is inhumane.
It's sickening.
Sugar her paws never touched the ground, never touched grass. When we received her, she slept standing up. She would just find a wall and lean on it and sleep. Because she was in a cage with so many dogs. She has come a long way, but for the first few months we had to bend her legs down in order to sleep.
Oh my gosh.
And she wouldn't walk. You would put her down and she wouldn't walk.
She didn't know what
never
to do,
walked.
probably, yeah. What did they do? They were packed so tightly she couldn't
That's
touch
correct.
the ground?
They were in wire mesh cages.
Oh, my
stacked on top of each
gosh.
other. This particular mill was in Corydon, Indiana, a few years ago, and there were hundreds of dogs at this mill site. A mill can be run right out of the backyard, so it can be from that extreme of a few dogs to hundreds of dogs.
And are some people doing this because of a particular flavor of dog they're looking for? Or
That too, and it's a money generator. And oftentimes we've been working with our Attorney General in the state of Indiana because taxes aren't paid on this property. So that's one way we're able to shut the mill down.
That was a smart way to go about it.
Because our legislation isn't quite strong enough in terms of regulation. So we're working very hard on a spay and neuter bill right now now that will allow for a pool of money to be drawn from various agencies to spay and neuter, which reduces our pet population.
Right.
And increases pet responsibility, ownership responsibility. And we're also working hard on our animal cruelty bills as well.
And it really does make a difference in the pet's temperament too, doesn't it?
It does.
It makes them a better pet overall.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And something that, yes, we all need to be sure to do.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Spay and neutering is the key to reducing our pet population, assisting with temperament,
and nasty
it's
habits.
Overall very responsible. Yes,
Right,
responsible pet ownership.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, that's good. Well, let's go ahead and bring the star of the show on here for a little bit. Little Sugar Bowl.
Yes. Mm-hmm. I wish I did have
This is Rachel, our student.
Hi, Rachel. Thank you. Yeah. This is Sugar Bowl. She is about 3 years old. She is a Pomeranian. She did come from us from that mill rescue along with several hundred dogs that we distributed around to other agencies. If we are not able, we're at maximum capacity right now, so if we are not able to house the pet, we reach out to other agencies or rescue groups, and we have a strong foster care program in place where oftentimes our puppies go into foster care because they're not able to be vaccinated yet, so they're exposed to so many diseases.
Oh, geez.
So it's important that we get our puppies out of the shelter and into homes until they are ready to be vaccinated.
Their immune system isn't strong enough? Or?
That's correct, and they can't accept the vaccination until
Right.
a certain age, so then they're exposed to parvo, kennel cough, very dangerous,
Right.
dangerous diseases.
Deadly or
Deadly.
Yeah,
Deadly.
yeah,
Kennel
just
cough
not-
is deadly.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah, that's
Especially
something
to
that,
puppies.
and sweeps through.
It sweeps
think,
right
yeah,
through.
yeah.
So we're very, very cognizant and consistent with our policies and procedures so disease isn't spread. When an animal first comes to the shelter, they go into what's called ISO or isolation until their temperament is tested and their medical testing comes back okay, then they're put into general population. The average stay for an animal is about a month, and for that stay, each dog is around $250. Cats, $200.
Wow.
So since we have 366 now, you can do the math and see that it's quite expensive to run this shelter. That's why donations and our volunteers are the backbone of what we do.
Most definitely, and really hats off to the volunteers that help out.
I couldn't agree more. I couldn't agree more. The warm, fuzzy feeling you get inside every day is not just because of the pets, but the people and their passion are truly amazing.
And that does have to be really cool to work
It
there.
is.
I mean,
It really
to me,
is.
I really think
It is.
And it's not about the money. It would be about being with the pets.
It's not. I couldn't be happier to show up to work every day.
Right,
In
right.
fact, on my days off, I have to force myself not to go in. It truly is true. My boss says, "Now you're not coming in. You promise." And I said, "I'm not coming tomorrow." And she goes, "And then the next day, okay, I'm not coming for 2 days. I promise."
Well, that's good. Balance is necessary. With
It's
everything,
true.
of
It's
course.
true. I have
Yes,
to keep
yes.
that in mind.
And before anyone gets the bright idea to say, "Oh, I want to adopt Sugar Bowl,"
No, she's
Ain't
taken,
gonna happen,
right?
yes.
She is mine. Sugar is mine. And I have one other rescue, Hoosier, who is a Ridgeback, a Rhodesian Ridgeback.
Oh yes,
And
you
he's-
have the pit bull.
Yeah,
breed,
he's
right?
about 85 pounds, and she rules the roost.
Oh
so it's very
my.
fun to watch.
Oh my! Wow, my buddy of mine has a pit, and my opinion of those completely changed once I got to know that
Yeah,
dog.
there are
It
a
was
lot of-
one of the kindest. If anything, she'd lick me to death.
You're right,
You know, it's just-
absolutely. And pit bull is there are a lot of misconceptions about pit bulls out there, and it's really a generic term for about 12 different breeds.
Wow.
So pit bull really isn't a breed. It could be, Staffordshire Terrier, Bull Terrier, lots of different,
But even a dog like that could be trained to be aggressive.
Oh,
right?
absolutely.
So-
Any dog can be
Right,
trained to be
right.
aggressive. So, but we do see a lot of pit mixes. In right now, it is the popular breed to breed. So,
Right, right.
but yeah, the most loving, sweet dogs. Honestly.
Really, she is, and they're just amazing, and they're so muscular and
They
dense,
are. They are.
like little athletes or
Yeah,
something.
they really are.
Yeah.
Very strong.
Right, right. And what advice would you give to someone who's considering a pet?
Well, the holidays are coming, and pets are wonderful gifts, but you need to consider the time you spend at home. It's very important. And also the environment the pet has and what's best for the pet. You don't want to take that on unless you're truly ready and have done your homework and have the resources to care for a pet. Vet bills are very expensive, and food is expensive.
Right, oh, definitely.
Inoculation, spay and neuter, so it's a very big responsibility.
Even in the best circumstance, a pet can become ill
It's
or
true, and you
eat
go
something.
absolutely.
Yeah.
You're absolutely right.
So that is something to take into account.
It
and,
is.
Do you see a rise right after the holidays of people getting things that
and
just...
bringing them back,
Yeah.
yes, that does happen. So although we do have our Black Friday special, we want to support, people shopping for pets. There are special adoption fees the day after Thanksgiving. So if anyone is interested, it'd be great for you to come at that time. We are in the middle of puppy season, so if puppies are what you're looking for, we have just had about 9 or 10 litters of puppies.
Oh, wow.
And a few more ready to come in. So even though we promote adoptions any time of year, the holidays, as long as you're not making a knee-jerk decision, it's totally advisable.
And Jenny, what is the address and the phone number?
We are on Munster on 45th. I think it's 421 45th, sorry. And phone number is 922-3811, and I'm extension 308.
Okay, and let's give the main number out one more time.
922-3811.
Well, thanks so much.
Sure.
Jenny Bacino, the volunteer coordinator for the Humane Society of the Calumet area in Munster, Indiana. Thanks so much for coming on the show, and thanks so much for Sugar Bowl, my first little doggy guest.
Thank you.
Thanks. And that concludes this episode of Calumet Perspectives. I'm your host, Stephen Haas. Thank you so much for having us into your home. Be sure to join us again for another exciting episode of Calumet Perspectives. Have a great day, everyone.
Experience for a lifetime.
At Purdue Calumet, you'll combine a Purdue education with rich, work-related experience that impresses employers.
Experience for a lifetime.
At Purdue Calumet, you'll take what you learn in the classroom and apply it to a real-world environment. At Purdue Calumet, you'll gain
experience for a lifetime.
Phone 1-800-HI-PURDUE, 1-800-HIPURDUE.